Hey guys, this is Judge from Team Family Fun, and today I'm going to talk about side deck cards going into the Nekroz format, because that deck is going to be pretty good, I think. So I have monsters, spells, and traps. This is if you're playing Nekroz, playing against Nekroz, doesn't really matter. A lot of these are very generic and can be teched into most decks, so let's get started with the monsters. So first up I have Kaiku the camera. There you go. Okay, first off, I have Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. This is from Labyrinth of Nightmare. This card's really, really old. It was teched in during Dragon Ruler format because it says that your opponent cannot banish. Ooh, my camera does not like focusing today. There we go. So your opponent cannot remove cards from play from either graveyard. So what does that mean? That means that it turns off their Trishulas. It turns off the mirrors being able to recycle and add one from the deck. And most importantly, it turns off the Valkyris, because that card is probably one of the most fearsome cards in that deck, because it can protect any monster, and it pretty much makes the deck un-OTKable. So I think siding this in the mirror match was very good, because the normal summon in Nekroz is not that big a deal, and this can enable rank 4 plays. If you inflict battle damage, you can start banishing their Nekroz stuff. So I think this card is overall just very good. It's also a dark, if Shaddolls want to start teching it in. So that's my first pick as a monster tech. Next we have Effect Veiler. This card is, well, if you don't know what this card does, I can't really help you. It just stops Trish. That's the main bottom line. It can also stop the Manjus and Senjus, but it mostly just stops the Trish, because the Trish is probably the most fearsome card in that deck. Well, besides the Valkyris. In the mirror match, the Trish doesn't really do much, but against almost every other deck, the Trish is very devastating, just because it's so easy to bring out and easy to just throw on the field and just sit there and be like, oh look, I trished you for literally no cost. So there's Veiler. Oh, it's also a light, so Shaddolls. Because I play Shaddolls and I like my lights. Another light, ironically. Artifact Lancia. This card says that you can tribute this card from your hand or your side of the field, and this turn your opponent cannot banish cards, I believe. Neither player can banish cards the rest of the turn. So again, it's a quick effect. So it stops the Trish, stops the Valkyris, stops the mirrors, but the mirror banishing is a cost, so you have to do this like in their standby phase when they're about to do it, something like that. So there's another way to stop the Trish. A lot of these are just stopping the Trish, because the Trish is the most devastating part. This isn't. This is Kinetic Soldier. The reason I have two is because this one is the correct typing. This one's Earth. This one's Light. In the World Championship pack, they printed it as a Light accidentally. I just think it's funny. I want to see if anyone tries to get away with it at locals, people start playing this in Shaddolls using it as a light. I think it'd be very funny, and I'd get really mad at them as a judge. But anyway, so what does this card do? When this card attacks a warrior type monster, it gains 2,000 attack. So what does that mean? It means that they can't use the Djinn lock, because most of the time when they Djinn lock, they're going to make a Djinn with either Bryanak, Clauselus, or Trish, because those are the easiest ones to do it, because they're multiples of 3 for the Djinn. So you can just summon this and attack over it, because you will be able to attack over it, because you're gaining 2,000 attack. So he goes up to 34, or what, 34? No, 3350, which is pretty big. He's also an out to Darklaw if you need it, because Darklaw is also a warrior. He's an earth target, so Shads. I don't know. That's all I can think about it. I wouldn't say this is your strongest choice, but if you can't get anything and the Djinn lock is just killing you, this is something you could possibly try. Last card is Puppet Plant. If you're trying to OTK them, if they don't have the Valkyris, you can take the Trish, you can take the Gungnir, the Valkyris, the Unicorn, just anything you want, you just take it. Just because they're all warriors and spellcasters. Pretty self-explanatory. And it's already sided right now for BA, so maybe it'll just stay in the side, who knows. So that's it for monsters. Next I'll go over the spells people can pick up. So first I have Mirror the Ice Barrier. People don't really know what this card does. I bought a bunch of these because I think it's pretty solid. It's okay. It's kind of gimmicky, but if it goes off, it's a blowout. Basically what it does is it's a quick play spell from Starstrike Blast, and you can read that if you want, but that's too long, didn't read. That's it says basically when your opponent banishes a card from your field, hand, or grave, you get to banish 2 of their cards from wherever they banish from. So when they go Trish, you activate this, they're still going to get the banishes and everything. But now you get to blow them out and go banish, banish, banish. Banish, 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 banish. because you can banish the Trish something else. You can banish 2 cards from their hand, 2 cards from their graveyard. So it's very devastating if you flip this card on them. I would say this card's okay. I bought them when they were like quarters. Now they're at like $2 for some reason. I don't think it's worth $2, but you can buy it if you want. Next spell, DD Designator. People probably don't know what this card does. This card's from IOC. This is basically a spell card Mind Crush that banishes it instead. But you can only banish 1 copy, so if they have 2 Valkyries, you're screwed. But this is used in the mirror match just against the Valkyries. Because when you're about to OTK them, you play DD Designator or call Valkyries, and they banish the Valkyries and you use OTK. That's the only reason I could ever see playing this card. It's okay. I think in OTK decks it'll be necessary if you're playing against them, just because you just can't OTK them, because they're always going to search out the Valkyries if they're not idiots, and they know you're playing an OTK deck. So you might want to pick these up. Then next is Book of Eclipse. People are questioning why they run this card in the OCG. The reason is because of the Djinn lock. If you book a Moon, a monster with the Releaser Rituals card, it loses its status as the Djinn monster that won't let you special summon. So Book of Eclipse just let you put their stuff face down, and then you can Trish them. Because to Trish, you need a card in their hand, side of the field, and graveyard. So most of the time in the Nekroz mirror match, they won't leave any cards on the field, but if they have the Djinn lock, they will, because they know that they have very little outs to the Trish. But Book of Eclipse is non-targeting, so they can't use the Trish in hand effect to save their Djinn monster. And most of the time, they won't be drawing off it, because you're going to be killing it. And also, you can flip your Manjus and Senjus face down. If I can find a Manju, my binder. Sorry about that. So I can show. Oh my goodness. Where are my Manjus? I know I have a bunch of them. There they are. So what Manju says is when this card is normal summoned or flip summoned. So if you summon Manju and you get its effect, and you manage to have the Book of Eclipse, and it survives. I don't know how it survives. You Valkyries it maybe. I don't know. And you Book of Eclipse, you go Book of Eclipse, you flip it face down, and you flip it back up, you get a search. So that's pretty broken too. That's kind of dumb that you can do that. And last card, you should all know, Share Ride. This card spiked from $1 to like $6 in like a day. Nekroz add from the deck to the hand a lot and from the grave to the hand a lot. And this actually says when you add cards from the deck or grave to the hand. I didn't know the grave to the hand thing until recently. Please focus. Please focus. Please focus. Please focus. Please focus. Please? How about focus on my finger? Focus on the finger? You don't want to focus? Okay, whatever. Well, basically, every time your opponent adds cards from the grave to the hand, or grave to the hand, or deck to the hand, you draw a card. So they're either going to stop, or you're going to draw like 3 cards. Minimum on their turn. You're going to draw like 3 cards. So it's sided in the mirror match as well. So that's all the spells. Traps, I only have 3 choices, as I think would be good side cards. So, Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. People were considering this card against Cliffworks, but that's just idiotic. That's idiotic. So what it says is level 6 or higher special summon effect monsters can't activate their effects or attack. So I think attack the turn they are summoned? No, just can't attack. So what that means is if they Trish, if they go Bryanek, if they go Valkyries, if they go anything, you flip this, it's negated and it can't attack. So it's a Fiendish chain for all their monsters and none of your monsters, and it's continuous and it comes in ulti, so it's pretty. That's about it. Imperial Iron World stops banishing. This deck is very centered around banishing for recycling and its big plays. So why not just stop it all? And Ritual Beasts. If Tito actually plays Ritual Beasts, I'm going to be handing these out at locals to beat him. And last card, Mind Crush. Same thing as DD Designator, but this can hit multiple Valkyries in the hand. That's about the only advantage I see. It being a trap is actually worse because it's slower. Because you want the DD Designator, because when you go off to OTK, you're going to want this because this is immediate. You're going to have to set this and wait and hope that they don't OTK you or Trish you before you get the chance. So if I had to pick one, I'd pick this just because it's faster. And it banishes, which is more relevant because it gets them out of the way and you can't Nekroz cycle them back. So that's about it. That's all the cards I thought would be worthy. Going into this format, I'm not really sure if I'm going to play very much. I don't really like Nekroz or Cliffworts. I think both those decks are degenerate and just not fun. I'm not saying Cliffworts are better, Nekroz are better or anything. I think Nekroz actually take a lot of skill to play. I just don't like them. But these are my solid picks. If I had to pick, if you had to pick one card from each category to pick up before the format began, I would pick that up as a monster just because it's really cheap and it's very effective. A spell I would probably pick. Oof. probably Book of Eclipse, depending on how relevant the Djinn lock can be. I mean, in the TCG, we have 2 Dark Hole and Regeki, but you can protect those with Gungnir. You can't stop this in almost any way because it doesn't target and doesn't destroy. And then as a trap, I'd probably pick up this, just because this is probably the most relevant card against them if you don't want to buy skill drains and vanities and stuff, because who wants to buy those just for those? Unless you're playing Clyforts, and you're just going to main it anyway. But, yeah, so those are the cards I would pick. I guess that's all I wanted to talk about. Going in this format is going to be very... Is it going to be very weird? It's very... We don't know how... I've tested BA against Nekroz, and Nekroz are just destroying BA. But who knows? Maybe people will start playing the Ritual, and it'll get busted. It'll just be Djinn lock, Djinn lock, Djinn lock, Djinn lock. But who knows? I guess that's all I wanted to say. So, thanks for watching. Till next time.